Welcome to MasterGate Radio, your gateway to the future of Second Life news. Tune in now for an exclusive deep dive with your favorite journalists, Jenny and Brian. Together, they'll explore the latest Second Life Roundtable, community, technology, and the future. Stay connected, stay informed, and enjoy the journey. This is MasterGate Radio, where the future speaks. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the gate, the Master Gate.
Bass drop.
All right, welcome everyone to the deep dive. Today we're jumping headfirst into this recent Second Life Community Roundtable.
Oh yeah.
Featuring the founder and now CTO, Philip Rosedale.
Okay, cool. So not just some casual chat, right?
Right, and thankfully we've got the transcript right here. It's really a glimpse into the behind the scenes of Second Life's past, present, and this really ambitious future they're painting, directly from the person who dreamed it all up. So today we're going to try to pull out the most insightful and future-focused information for you all listening.
Sounds good. What are we looking at specifically?
Everything. I mean, from the technical stuff, like the upgrades they're making, to community building and how the identity of this, let's be honest, pretty unique virtual world is changing.
Yeah, Second Life definitely has its own vibe.
For sure. So Philip, he's back full-time, right, as CTO and board member.
All right, I remember hearing about that.
You can tell he's really energized, raring to go.
Fired up about Second Life again.
Yeah, he even says he's been heads down since, the beginning of October. But what I found interesting is he also acknowledges all the fantastic work the company has done recently.
Yeah, he's not coming in to do a total overhaul.
Right. It's more like he sees Second Life already succeeding, and he wants to use all these new technological advancements to push it even further.
It's almost like the tech itself is what drew him back in.
Absolutely. But it's not just about the tech.
Oh, right. He's been talking a lot about the community, too.
Yeah, he wants a deeper conversation, and he's trying all these different ways to connect.
I saw that, Reddit, Discord, even that prim feed thing. What is that, by the way?
Honestly, not entirely sure, but the point is he wants that direct feedback. He even shared his email, philip@lindenlab.com, encouraging people to reach out.
Wow, that's pretty open.
Right. And then there's the Friends of Philly group he started in World.
Oh, yeah, for more direct communication.
It's a smart move. He's trying to build a more direct feedback loop right inside Second Life, kind of like how Firestorm does their support.
Oh, that's a good comparison. Firestorm really relies on their community.
Exactly. So first key discussion point from the roundtable. This user brings up technology and system requirements.
Okay, always a hot topic.
For sure. So they point out that even with cool advancements like PBR, making things look real, and GLTF, the format for 3D models, a lot of people might not realize they need to upgrade their computers more often to keep up.
Yeah, unlike other online games where you can kind of coast for a while.
Right, so they even ask if Second Life should raise the minimum system requirements more often like other platforms do.
Interesting. What does Philip say to that?
Well, he acknowledges that a lot of Second Life residents have been around for, over a decade.
Yeah, it's a very established community.
Right, and for some, it's practically a daily service.
Like a utility almost.
Exactly. So he says they have to be way more careful about suddenly upping the system requirements compared to games that have a much shorter lifespan.
Makes sense. You don't want to cut people off.
Right. It's not just about having the best graphics. It's about making sure the community can actually access the platform.
So a more gradual approach to tech upgrades then.
Sounds like it. He even brought up past issues with viewer releases, specifically Firestorm's June 20th update.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Caused problems for people with older computers.
Right. So it seems they're really committed to not leaving those longtime residents behind.
So balancing those visual improvements with accessibility.
Exactly. Then another user brings up something that's been talked about a lot, the age of the Second Life population.
Yeah, it skews a bit older, right?
Right. So the user asks about attracting younger residents, particularly given how advanced other platforms like VR chat have become.
Like with the whole embodiment thing, seeing yourself move realistically in VR.
Yeah, and Philip actually uses the word mind-blowing when describing that aspect of VR chat.
So he gets the appeal.
He does, but he also says that building a VR viewer from scratch is, right now, beyond their resources.
So VR is more of a long-term goal.
Yeah, not something they're jumping into right away. What they are doing, though, is focusing on more immediate modernization efforts.
Like what?
Things like puppetry, giving you more control over your avatar's movements, GLTF, which we talked about, and even exploring Lua scripting.
Lua scripting. Interesting. Isn't that what Roblox uses?
Yep, specifically a version called Luau. They're thinking about adding it to the scripting engine to make content creation easier, especially for people coming from Roblox.
So kind of bridging that gap, making it easier to transition.
Exactly. Then there was the whole discussion about artificial intelligence.
Oh, yeah. AI is everywhere these days.
Right. So someone mentions the Welcome Hub bot, Janet.
I think I've run into her.
And they suggest creating a bot like ChatGPT, but trained on Second Life FAQs, to help new and old residents find information.
Makes sense. Streamline the support process.
Philip confirms that they're actually running alpha tests with different bots. Some greet people, some even help with support tickets.
Sounds like early stages, though, experimenting.
Yeah, for sure. But what's really important is Philip's overall philosophy on AI. He says the goal is to use it to bring people closer, not to replace human interaction.
Oh, I like that. So many people are worried about AI replacing us.
Right, and he gives the example of AI helping you find friends versus AI being your only friends. Huge difference.
Yeah, no kidding. So it seems like AI in Second Life is about enhancing the social experience, not replacing it.
Absolutely. And this ties into the next point, attracting younger users.
Okay, back to that.
Right, someone asks directly about Linden Lab's plans, especially compared to platforms like Roblox, which are hugely popular with kids.
And Roblox is specifically designed for a younger audience.
Right. And Philip is very clear here. Second Life is not intended for children under 16.
Because of safety concerns, I imagine?
Exactly. He mentions worries about financial exploitation, adult content, and overall safety for younger users.
Makes sense. Second Life does have a lot of that.
Yeah. And while 16 to 18-year-olds are allowed, they have restricted maturity settings.
So bottom line, no plans to actively target younger kids.
Nope. It's a conscious decision to prioritize the safety and the established experience of their adult user base.
Interesting. It's a bold stance, especially when so many platforms are chasing the younger demographic.
For sure. Then someone asks a really interesting question about the underlying engine of Second Life.
Oh, wow. Getting technical.
Yeah, they basically ask, with all these plans for AI and other advancements, is the very old engine even sustainable long term?
Good question. I mean, Second Life has been around forever.
Right, so Philip explains that the user experience in Second Life is incredibly complex, and so many people rely on the same user interface. He even mentions Firestorm as being home for a lot of users.
True, Firestorm is super popular.
Yeah, so he basically says that just swapping out the engine is a massive technical challenge because everything is so intertwined.
I could see that. Like trying to rebuild a car while it's still running.
Exactly. But here's where it gets interesting. While maintaining the current user experience is a priority, they are exploring building an entirely new viewer.
Wait, like a whole new separate app?
Yeah, almost like what they did with the mobile app. The idea is to make Second Life more accessible to people who don't have powerful computers or who find the current interface too much.
So not replacing the old viewer, but offering a new option.
Exactly. It's about giving people a more streamlined way to join and experience the world.
Makes sense. Kind of a dual-track approach to cater to both old and new users.
Right. Now, this next part gets a bit, well, philosophical.
Huh?
They start talking about virtual addiction and the nature of friendships in Second Life.
Interesting. I mean, we hear a lot about addiction to social media and games.
Exactly. So the question is raised, could Second Life be considered addictive too?
And what did Philip say to that?
Well, he actually differentiates Second Life's addictive component as being the real and meaningful friendships that form there.
That's a good point. Not just about mindless scrolling or grinding for rewards.
Right. He contrasts it with those dopamine-driven loops you see in a lot of addictive software. He sees Second Life as a way to combat loneliness and build real connections, which he views as a positive thing.
Okay, I can see that. But didn't he also acknowledge the potential for harm?
He did. He said it's important to be mindful, but his main point was that the connections people form in Second Life are often genuine and deep, very different from more superficial online interactions.
So acknowledging both sides of the coin.
Right. Then the conversation takes a bit of a turn, addressing what one user called the boob problem.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, they're talking about the amount of, well, sexually suggestive content you can find in the marketplace and in-world, and how this might be a barrier for new users and potential partnerships.
Yeah, that's been a long-standing issue.
Right. The user even compared it to having pinups in a workplace. Not exactly the most welcoming image. And Philip doesn't shy away from it. He actually brings up a related issue. Avatars sometimes appearing naked after teleporting. He calls it ridiculously unexclusive and even says it's something he regrets from the early days.
Wow, owning up to it.
Yeah. He agrees that easily encountering potentially offensive content is a problem, especially for newcomers. And if they want to broaden the appeal of Second Life for all sorts of people and uses, this is something they need to address.
So how do they plan to tackle this?
Well, he talks about finding a balance between allowing freedom of expression in private spaces and creating a more welcoming public face.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. Where do you draw the line?
Right. But he says they're actively working on it, listening to feedback and expecting progress. So hopefully new users will have a more curated and, well, less jarring experience going forward.
I mean, it makes sense. If they want to attract new users and collaborations, they have to address this perception issue.
Absolutely. Next up, the creators of Second Life chime in, asking how they can contribute to the platform's goals.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit.
Yeah. And Philip's answer is pretty straightforward, to bring in new users. He even says that if every dedicated user brought in just one new person every 6 months, Second Life would start growing again.
Wow, that puts it into perspective.
Right. But he also acknowledges that the onboarding process, especially avatar customization, can be overwhelming. He asks for help in designing systems to make it easier.
I can see that. Getting started in Second Life can be a lot.
For sure. But the overall message is clear. Growing the user base benefits everyone, especially the creators. He calls it a positive-sum game.
So more users means more opportunities for everyone.
Exactly. Then they touch upon the scripting language used in Second Life, LSL.
Oh, I remember struggling with that back in the day.
Yeah, it's not the most user-friendly, so someone asks about updating it to something more modern, like C# or Python.
Yeah, like what Sansar did.
Right. But Philip says their focus is on adding Lua, specifically the Luau version used by Roblox, to the scripting engine.
Again, kind of bridging that gap, making it easier for people to come over from other platforms.
Exactly. It's a more practical evolution rather than a complete overhaul. And Lua is known for being easier to learn.
Definitely. So what about cryptocurrency? There's been talk about that, right?
Oh, yeah. Someone asked about allowing payments in Bitcoin and other cryptos for things like Linden dollars or land.
Could be a way to attract more investors, tap into that whole world.
Right. And Philip agrees that expanding payment options, including crypto, makes sense as things evolve.
Isn't there a lot of legal stuff around that?
Yeah, he acknowledges the complexities, especially when it comes to buying Linden dollars with crypto. And remember, he's expressed his own concerns about cryptocurrency in general in the past.
That's true, so they'll have to tread carefully there.
Definitely. Now, a big part of the conversation is about marketing and how Second Life is perceived by the public.
Yeah, it's kind of got this outdated image, even though it's so much more than that.
Right. And someone suggests using their budget to work with YouTube influencers to try and change that perception.
Interesting idea. Reach a whole new audience.
Yeah. So Philip acknowledges that they need to reverse the recent dip in user numbers, and he confirms that marketing efforts aimed at growth will start up again soon.
So they're taking it seriously.
They are. But he's skeptical about broad marketing campaigns on platforms like YouTube.
Why is that?
He believes most people aren't really interested in becoming avatars and entering a virtual world right now.
I guess that's fair. It's still a niche thing.
Right. And he attributes this partly to the limitations of nonverbal communication in virtual environments.
Yeah.
He says it can make interacting with unfamiliar avatars feel uncomfortable, like trying to have a conversation in a dark bar where you can't see anyone's expressions.
Okay, I get that. It can feel awkward if you're not used to it.
Exactly. So his point is, until that improves, targeted marketing to people who are already inclined to be interested is probably more effective.
Makes sense. Focus on the low-hanging fruit.
Right. Oh, and someone brought up the potential suspension of Skrill as a payment service.
Oh, I remember hearing about that. Some people rely on it to cash out their Linden dollars.
Yeah, and Philip assures everyone that they won't shut down Skrill until they've found other cash-out options for everyone who needs them.
So they're not leaving anyone high and dry.
Nope. Then someone asks about the future of the mainland, the original connected landmass in Second Life.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if they'll ever finish those 2 incomplete continents.
Yeah, someone asked about that specifically, and Philip says he loves the mainland. He calls it a magic property of Second Life, how people can build communities and collaborate across such vast distances.
It's true. There's a real sense of scale in Second Life that you don't get in other virtual worlds.
Right. And he talks about the unique way collective behavior emerges in Second Life, not just on the mainland, but on private islands, too. He also mentions things like improving region crossing, which people have been asking for, and features like houseboats and sailing.
So they're thinking about the big picture, how to make the world more interconnected.
Yeah, and he says they'll be discussing the mainland and its governance in the Friends of Philly group, so the community will have input.
Cool. So what about the mobile app? Any updates on that?
Yeah, someone asked when it might become the only app.
I mean, everything's going mobile these days.
Right, but Philip's answer is pretty definitive. Never. He says the desktop version will always be there for those deeper, more immersive experiences.
Okay, so the mobile app is more of a companion.
Right. The goal is to make it useful for everyone, maybe a fun way for new users to dip their toes in or experience certain parts of Second Life.
I can see that. Like a gateway drug.
He actually uses the analogy of Black Mirror, the show, to illustrate why a purely mobile Second Life experience on a tiny screen just wouldn't work.
Yeah, that makes sense. Some experiences just need a bigger canvas.
Right. But a good mobile app alongside the desktop version could really help with growth.
Definitely. Opens up the platform to a lot more people.
Now, this next part was really touching. A longtime user shares a personal story about how important Second Life is for seniors and people with disabilities.
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, they talk about how it gives them a sense of purpose and community, something they might not have in the real world. They even mention a past Linden Lab study that showed a high attrition rate overall, but those who do stay, that 1 in 20, are often highly motivated individuals from those demographics.
So they're the ones who really find a home in Second Life.
Yeah, and Philip's response is so genuine, he completely agrees, saying they need to understand and serve that user base better. He sees a huge opportunity in improving accessibility features like captions, translations, adjustments for people with hearing or vision impairments.
That's really heartwarming to hear.
It is. It shows that they recognize the real human impact Second Life can have.
For sure. Then someone brings up the possibility of reviving banned accounts.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, especially cases where people felt they were wrongly accused.
Right, and Philip acknowledges how serious a ban is, how important Second Life is to some people. He says they try their best with the current process, but he's open to exploring other options, like judicial processes or alternatives to outright banning in certain cases.
So maybe a bit more nuanced approach to moderation.
Yeah, and he emphasizes that the community should have a say in these decisions.
Which makes sense. It's their world, after all.
For sure. And last but not least, someone suggests bringing back physical Second Life community conventions.
Oh, like real-life meetups.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
Philip is all for it. He suggests using the Friends of Philly group to gauge interest and figure out what such an event might look like.
That would be awesome. Really solidify those online bonds.
Right. It shows that they're not just focused on the virtual side of things, but also on fostering that real-world connection within the community.
For sure. And before we wrap up, any updates on the mobile beta?
Oh yeah, Philip announced it'll be open to everyone very soon, hopefully within the next month. But he reiterated that it's not a replacement for the desktop experience.
Right, more of a companion, as we discussed.
Exactly. Finally, they address the elephant in the room, Second Life's reputation.
Yeah, it's still seen as kind of a joke by a lot of people.
Right. So one user expresses their frustration with the whole sex stuff association and the perception that it's outdated. They say it prevents people from seeing the creative potential, the high quality of avatars and experiences.
Yeah, it's a shame because there's so much more to it than that.
Exactly. So they ask about plans to clean up the name and attract new users.
Okay, so what's the strategy?
Well, Philip asked for specifics on what cleaning up the name would actually involve. He even jokingly suggests going back to Linden World as a thought experiment.
I don't think that would solve the problem.
Right. And he emphasizes that the existing community, that double exponential of friends and content, is what makes Second Life so special.
Yeah, you can't just erase all that history.
Exactly. So while he acknowledges the negative perceptions, he's cautious about making any drastic changes that could disrupt the core of what Second Life is. He talks about the need for better marketing, to showcase the positive aspects, the creativity, the genuine connections.
So highlight the good stuff, Drown out the noise.
Right. And he mentions that public perception is actually shifting a bit. People are less dismissive and more curious these days.
Oh, that's interesting. So maybe the tide is turning.
Maybe. And he ends with this really powerful thought, talking about the opportunity Second Life has right now, with all the concerns about the negative impacts of the internet in general.
Okay, I'm listening.
He sees Second Life as a potential counterpoint, a more positive way for people to connect online, where they can build real friendships and maybe even contribute to depolarizing society.
Wow, that's a bold vision.
It is, but he genuinely seems excited about it, about the future of Second Life and virtual worlds in general.
So to sum up, what are the key takeaways from this deep dive?
Well, Philip's commitment to careful technological advancement, to making sure Second Life is accessible for everyone, the thoughtful approach to AI, using it to enhance human connection, not replace it, and the renewed focus on community engagement and strategic growth.
It's clear that they're really listening to the community and trying to address the concerns while also keeping an eye on the future.
Right, and they're not shying away from the challenges like public perception and the need to serve a diverse user base.
And that brings us to our final thought for you, the listener.
Okay, hit us with it.
Given Philip Rosedale's vision of Second Life as this place where depolarization can happen and genuine friendships can form, how could the platform really lean into that to attract new users and stand out in the metaverse? What specific features or community initiatives could amplify that positive aspect? It's something to think about.
It definitely is. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll see you next time.